The participant is handed the deck of playing cards and invited to shuffle them. They are then invited to look through the deck of cards and freely select any playing card. The card is returned to the deck and shuffled inside. The magician then claims that he was able to control the selected playing card to the top of the deck. The King of Diamonds is placed down and the magician returns to the deck. The participant interrupts him.
Hold on a second, that was not my playing card.
So the King of Diamonds wasn't your card?
Nope, it was the 9 of clubs.
The 9 of clubs. Are you sure it wasn't the King of Diamonds?
It wasn't the King of Diamonds, it was... What is going on?
At this point, the participant realizes that the King of Diamonds is still inside the deck. They are then invited to turn over the playing card on the table
Daniel, I'm scared.
where they find their selected playing card, the 9 of clubs. I am Daniel Madison and this is the first card trick that I ever performed.
Did I react accordingly, Daniel? Did I do a good job?
I am Daniel Madison, welcome back. Thanks for being here. Officially my first tutorial of 2022. A very significant and important year. And I wanted to start this year with going back in time to the first card trick that I ever performed. First of all, if you don't know who I am, I teach card tricks, sleight of hand, magic right here at YouTube. I teach more intricate magic and close-up deceptions over at madison.ist, but right now we're going to focus on this trick. This is very, very easy to learn, very, very easy to perform, and the impact is very high. This is the first card trick that I ever performed. It became the staple trick of my repertoire. It was my opener, my beginner, my go-to trick. It is simply beautiful and it's simply simple to simply learn. As magicians, as sleight of hand artists, we can't be fooled into thinking that as we develop with our sleight of hand techniques, we should leave the simple stuff behind. That is bull swear word, that is nonsense. It is usually the easiest and simple tricks that have the highest impact. And I have this tattoo that I refer to a lot, up cum que, which is Latin for by any means necessary. And this card trick is beautiful in its simplicity. So we have the participant choose a card in the most typical form. We will go for the 9 of clubs, a random playing card. The way that your participant is going to select a playing card from the deck. The only point that we need control is when that card is returned to the deck. So up until that point, we can hand over everything and make this trick feel more impossible. So what I mean by that is give your participant the deck of playing cards, invite them to shuffle, and then invite them to look through and take out a playing card of their choice. For this explanation, we will use a very random 9 of clubs. Because they've shuffled the playing cards, because they've had a free choice, they could look through and take any card. This feels different to a typical card trick. At this point, they've taken the card out, so you can take the deck of cards back. This is when the control begins. So we take the deck back first. We can invite our participants to show their playing card around as long as we don't see. When they return the card, it's up to you how you do this. You need to control the card to the top, but it has to appear to have been lost in the deck. The simplest way of doing this is by having the playing card returned to the top and shuffling the cards whilst keeping this card held on top with the fingers of the left hand, like so. So if I pinch the card here, I'll hold it face up so you can see, and I can just shuffle the cards above whilst my fingers are keeping that playing card held in place here. So I'm just simply retaining that playing card on the top of the deck. For me, whenever I've done this trick, even back to the first time that I ever performed it, once the card is selected, I will dribble the playing cards like so, stopping about halfway, and then invite the participant, put your card back inside. Now, at this point, we want it to look like a really random stopping point. So we're just going to dribble, look away, and then stop and say, put your card back inside. Reach your hand out so that they can put the card here. They're going to take that card, put it inside, and then you can continue dribbling the playing cards. Now, the way that we control this playing card, the way that we know where it is, once they've put the 9 back inside, I'm going to in-jog dribble, which means I'm going to dribble the cards back over the edge of the deck like this, and then move forward to the front like this. So I have a big section here hanging out of the back. It looks like a mess, and when I straighten it up, I simply lift up that very bottom playing card that's out jogged and then straighten up the playing cards, and I put my pinky, squeeze my pinky into that gap, and now I have a break above the selection. Now all I need to do is lift this entire packet and then shuffle it to the bottom of the deck. I want it to look like I'm just going into a standard straight up shuffle. I have to make it look as natural as possible. So when I go for that break, I actually transfer it to the thumb of my right hand. So I grab the deck like this from above, my thumb now takes the break, and now I turn the deck face up like this so my audience can see the faces of the cards. Now I'm going to drop everything at this break. So I'm going to drop everything into my hand here. So that places the 9 of clubs in my hand. And now I'm going to shuffle the rest of the playing cards to the bottom of this pile. Now with the 9 of clubs here, I can keep that card in place with my fingers, and my left hand, my right hand does the shuffling, keeping the 9 in place. So to see that all in action, so you can see how that works, we have 9 of clubs selected. I dribble the cards and say put your card in anywhere. 9 of clubs goes inside, I dribble the rest of the cards on top, and now I turn everything over and start shuffling. It just looks like I've gone straight in for a shuffle. Looks like there's no way I could have controlled that playing card, whereas in fact the 9 of clubs is now on top, exactly where I need it. The next thing that we need to do is a double lift. A double lift is the act of turning over 2 playing cards, which poses 1 playing card. It looks like 1 playing card, really secretly it's 2 playing cards. There are many different ways of getting into a double lift, and I teach the best of them in my Magic Induction Masterclass, Madison.cards, go check it out. Because we've just shuffled and the deck is face up in our hands like this, at the close of the shuffle, we have a few moments where we can talk about the trick, or where we can distract our audience. I can simply look up at my participants and begin talking. As my thumb of my right hand turns the deck face down, I'm going to lift up 1, 2 playing cards, get a break with my pinky underneath, and then turn the deck face down in my hand. Now I have my double already set up. Now I can simply go to this card and say the first part of this trick is that your card appears on top. Now it's up to you how you do this. You can say I've made your card jump to the top, very magical, or you can say, if you're more of a sleight of hand artist, you can say during the shuffle I actually controlled your card to the top. Now I prefer saying this because when you turn those 2 cards over to show them the 3 of hearts, a random card, and you're so confident and you say I managed to control your card to the top, haha. But when really it's not, it's the 3 of hearts. This plays into the trick beautifully. Don't be arrogant, just be straight up. I shuffled your card to the top, so we're going to take the 3 of hearts and we're going to use it, and as you continue talking, I've turned both playing cards face down and I put on the table their playing card, the 9 of clubs. They believe it to be the 3 of hearts, right? But I carry on talking with confidence. I don't leave them any room to tell me it's not their card. So it goes like this. So while I was shuffling, I controlled your playing card to the top, the 3 of hearts. So I'm going to use the 3 of hearts. By now, your participant will have said something or will have a strange look on their face like or a strange look on their face like I can't do it. They'll have a look on their face that says that's not my card. So you can say, if they're not the type of person to speak up and say that's not my card, you can just look at their face and go, what, something wrong? Either way, we're going to lead to that's not the card. It wasn't the 3 of hearts. You have to remember that it's the 3 of hearts, even though it's 9 of clubs, because you're going to talk about the 3 of hearts a few times at this point, or whichever card you find on top. So I say, look, your card 3 of hearts, I controlled it to the top. What the 3 of hearts is not your card. As they say this and as you start this dialogue, I'm simply going to cut the deck. So I cut the 3 of hearts inside, don't need to keep any breaks. I turn the deck face up so you can see all the faces in a second. I say, so it wasn't the 3 of hearts, which card was it? Now I'm going to look through the cards and say, which card was it? Oh, 9 of clubs. Are you sure it wasn't the 3 of hearts? It was the 9 of clubs. Now what I've done here is spread through every single playing card so that they can see, so that everybody can see that there's no 9 of clubs. More importantly, I've up-jogged the playing card that I apparently just put on the table. I found over time, over performing this thousands of times, they don't get it straight away. They don't register this straight away. In some cases, it just won't register at all. Or at those times, you have to just go for a long walk and have a hard think about life. At this point, it's gonna register, and you're gonna see it register, because if the 3 of hearts is here, then what card did we put on the table? then they're going to turn it over, or you're going to invite them to turn it over. The beautiful thing about this at this point is because you've spread and you've showed that there's no nine of clubs in the deck, inadvertently, you're not saying that, you're just spreading to look for the nine of clubs, proving that it's not there while showing the three of hearts is back in the deck. If you're on a table, if you're using the table, you can put everything down and step away, and it's clean. Everything's cleaned itself up. Now all that's left is the revelation. You'll find 9 times out of 10 they will turn this over themselves. Sometimes you have to invite them. More importantly, when I used to perform this back in my early days, I didn't perform at tables. It was walk around, it was in pubs, it was in bars. So this would have to happen in the participants' hands. So this is the most ideal performance. Once they choose their playing card and you take the deck back, and once you get to this point, we'll do it again. So I shuffle, apparently shuffling the cards, shuffling their card into the deck. I get my double lift and I say, your card, I controlled it to the top. Look, the 4 of clubs, just hold on to it for me. So they take the card and they won't turn it over. They'll take it and they'll say, hold on, it's not my card. When you've given it to them, you want to hold on to it so that when they grab it, don't let go of it straight away. Keep a bit of a tug there and then let go. At this point, when they say, wait, the 4 of clubs isn't my playing card, because they're holding it out like this, if in the worst case scenario they turn that card over, they're going to discover that it's the 9 of clubs. This has happened to me a few times and it works just the same. The trick hasn't failed because you revealed that card and the card apparently changed. But in most cases, they're going to keep it held here, and more importantly, you're going to take the deck now and they're going to say, hold on, my card wasn't the 4 of clubs. So imagine they're holding it here. I'm going to take the deck and I'm going to go above this card and say, hold on, let's find your card. Then what was it? 9 of clubs. Are you sure it wasn't the 4 of clubs? Are you sure it wasn't 9 of clubs? And at this point, we just put this playing card in their hands and this is already held by them. So in this case, 9 times out of 10, they will turn it over at this point to find their card. Freak out, everything can be checked, and then you can move straight on to a different trick, even using the same card that they're holding on to. So that was the first card trick that I ever performed. When I first came into Magic, I already knew sleight of hand. I'd learned sleight of hand for a very different reason, and becoming a performer of Magic was very challenging for me, and it meant that my sleight of hand had to adapt to Magic. So when I was learning, when I was developing and creating Magic tricks like this, following that same idea and applying it to Magic led me to tricks like this. Now the whole point of Magic is to offer your audience, your participant, an experience. It's not about which sleight of hand technique you use, whether you use a difficult one or an easy one. It's never about that. It's all about that final moment, that final experience that your audience member, that your participant has. This was the first card trick that I ever performed over 20 years ago, and I still perform this trick today. Just because you get better at sleight of hand and you learn new tricks, you have to make some wise, some smart decisions on which tricks you keep in your repertoire and which ones you lose. And the ones that you should lose, even if they have huge impacts, are the ones that have the most discrepancies and the most chances to be uncovered or seen. For example, if you're doing a trick that has a heavy sleight of hand technique in there, even if you are an expert with that sleight of hand technique, if there's a version of that trick, if there's an alternative method which doesn't use a sleight of hand trick, 100% you go with the easy version, because it's not about how good you are with sleight of hand. It's not about how amazing a magician you might be. It's about, and it is always about, the participant, the audience's experience. This trick takes me back to that, and it always reminds me of that principle, of that performance philosophy. And I would advise, and I do advise, and I implore all of my students to think this way always. I am Daniel Madison, and this was the first card trick that I ever performed. See you next time.